This episode of Neo Reality Collective is brought to you by The Everyday Fan. Check out their content and a passionate group of content creators getting together to create content for the growing community of pop culture, fan base, fandoms, and especially sports such as football, basketball, baseball, professional wrestling, and MMA fantasy sport. Control your content and share your story around the world today.
The Neo Reality Entertainment brand expands with a relaunch of the Neo Reality Collective Pop Culture News Talk. Your host, Eric Brown, gives his insights and thoughts in the ever-expanding news world of comic books, professional wrestling, gaming, TV, and movies. Be sure to donate to the brand and keep up to date with additional content on YouTube channels such as Neo Reality Entertainment, NRE The Wrestleverse, and NRE Pop Culture Omniversa.
Today's edition of Neo Reality Collective is brought to you by Anchor.fm, a free distribution service podcasting hosting platform that allows you to record your podcast on your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and so much more. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor.fm app or go to Anchor.fm to get started today. Thank you and enjoy the episode. Welcome everyone, we're back with the 43rd episode of Neo Reality Collective. Botch right there. Brought to you by, like the ad says at the beginning, brought to you by EDF, Everyday Fans. So, let's get right into this pop culture stuff. Resident Evil Rebirth has a new release date. The multiplayer game originally set to launch alongside Resident Evil The Village has a new release date for October 28th, 2022. The latest release date was showcased at Capcom Showcase and it will launch on the same day as the winter expansion arrives for Resident Evil Village. For those unfamiliar, the DLC will add a long-awaited story expansion, Shadows of Road, Lady Dimitrescu, and other playable characters to the Mercenaries Mode, and a third-person mode to Village's campaign. The multiplayer experience has multiple delays so that the team can continue working on it to deliver the smooth gameplay experience, and hopefully it can finally deliver its promise later this year. And what was the promise? A 6-player PvP deathmatch where players become different characters from across the Resident Evil series. Rebirth has an open beta test back in April 2021, but it was cut short due to matchmaking troubles. Alongside the release dates for the DLC and Rebirth, the Capcom Showcase also showcased a look at Resident Evil 4, new details on Monster Hunter Sunbreak, and a new look at co-op dinosaur murder action game Exo Primal, which we will cover in the next episode since there are 50 articles and I had to split this off. Meanwhile, Resident Evil Mercenaries Mode will get you to play Lady Dimitrescu, so I'm pretty sure certain fans will be excited for that. Meanwhile, Cyberpunk Edgerunners, the main protagonist, was referenced in the game 2 years ago. Protagonist David Martinez of the Cyberpunk Edgerunner anime series has been referenced from its launch date back in 2020 from Cyberpunk 2077. There's a drink called the David Martinez that can be purchased from the Afterlife bar. While that doesn't seem too exciting, fans of the game will know that only legendary figures of the Cyberpunk world gets drinks named after them at Afterlife. Martinez, who was revealed for the first time a week in a brief trailer for the 10-episode anime, is a street kid from Santo Domingo that turns personal tragedy into an opportunity to enter the world of Edgerunners. The drink's description alludes to the story's line 2, as it talks about aiming high and making an impact. Though, doesn't it also mean you have to die? So he's doomed. Meanwhile, Assassin's Creed next game will be announced in September, while Valhalla will gain a roguelite mode. So, Ubisoft, the controversial company that I will not explain why it's so controversial, it's horrible. James Stephanie Sterling has covered it a lot for various reasons I understand. But, Assassin's Creed's next game will be announced in September, with Valhalla getting a new roguelite mode titled Forgotten Saga. The mode is described as a fresh take on the series formula and will be free to all players. It brings to mind Hades, the smash hit roguelite from Supergiant Games, only instead of the Greek underworld, it will feature Niflheim, which fulfills a similar role in Norse mythology. As many fans have observed, myth has taken a great role in the Assassin's Creed series, at least conceived as a very realistic take on history. The series has lately been crawling with mythological creatures. Forgotten Saga's journey to Niflheim appears to be more of the same. On top of the Forgotten Saga, Ubisoft also announced Assassin's Creed fans can expect one final installment in Avar's Tale. Like Forgotten Saga, the content will be a free chapter for all players and will arrive at the end of 2022. The announcement were part of the 50th anniversary celebration stream, whatever, which celebrated the release of the original Assassin's Creed in 2007. The Mastery Challenge Pack number 2 in the armory will be returning as part of the event, as well as festivals. Ubisoft also announced that there will be new caves to explore as part of the quest to solve the mystery of the Tombs of the Fallen. First released back in 2020, with its most recent expansion being Dawn of Ragnarok, reception has been muted for the Norse-centric entry in the long-running series, leading to speculation Ubisoft might be ready to move on to the previously confirmed Assassin's Creed Infinity, but the development team seems to have a few more surprises in store for the year. Aside from Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Ubisoft announced that Assassin's Creed Origin new 4K 60 frames per second patch is available, and that will be free to play from June 16th to June 20th. Valhalla's Discovery Tour Viking Age is also receiving a standalone release on console, Stadia, and at a later date, Luna. So we should be expecting more announcements in the next Assassin's Creed later on in the summer. Yeah, I've been keeping track on the Assassin's Creed series, but I don't play it like I used to because of all the stuff I learned about Ubisoft and the dark stuff that's really messed up. So I haven't played any Assassin's Creed games or Watch Dogs games in a long while. Maybe one day I'll finish them, but right now everything just is very uncomfortable just even talking about it. Meanwhile, the Quarry multiplayer was delayed because the server had to be moved out of the Ukraine because Russia is trying to blow everything up. So, they even said, we had a bit of a weird thing with the multiplayer because part of our team is based out in the Ukraine. No, it's not a weird thing. It's more like a, oh my god, get those people out of there before they get bombed by the Russians, who probably don't even know what they're doing. Last month, Supermassive Games announced the delay of the multiplayer, but no reason was given for the pushback. At the time, the studio said online multiplayer would be out on July 8th by the latest, which, I said, is still on track. The mode is completely finished, but the studio had to move the server from the Ukraine to Warsaw, Poland for safety reasons. So we had to move the server from Kyiv into Warsaw, and those guys had to get out there because it was obviously really dangerous. You know, it's kind of amazing they're not saying why it was so dangerous because, I don't know. It's literally going to be a couple of weeks. It is actually done. It has to go through testing now. Oh, God. Okay. So, why can't they just say Russia is attacking the Ukraine, so we had to think of our safety first, instead of just being really vague and handling it weird? Okay. Meanwhile, next year, by Iron Gate, will be Valheim, the next gigantic survival game. Announced during the showcase, Valheim will arrive on PC Game Pass this fall and will finally head to consoles in spring 2023. The Steam, Xbox, and Microsoft versions will all come with full crossplay. They will also launch it to early access and really became a huge surprise hit. The unyielding survival game set in Viking Afterlife world recently passed 10 million sales. Iron Gate has enlisted Pitriv and Fish Labs to work on the Microsoft Xbox ports without impacting Valheim's ongoing early access development. We are beyond delighted to see the world of Valheim. And our amazing community open up to even more people and let our PC Vikings team up with their console shield brethren and sisters in the near future. None of this would be possible without the incredible teams who are continuing to work tirelessly on the Microsoft Store and Xbox ports, enabling us to focus on Mistlands update and our exciting journey through early access. So, yeah, I haven't heard of this game till I literally had read the article about it. It's this big survival game taking place in the Norse, in the Valheim. Yeah, I didn't even know about this game until literally a few days ago. So, yeah. Probably because I don't play early access games, because there's always a chance it could get canceled and you're just left with a incomplete game, and then it's just super awkward. Meanwhile, because Netflix did not understand the social commentary of the show, they're making a Squid Game reality show. Do you see a problem here? Netflix announced that it's casting 456 real players in Squid Game: The Challenge, a new reality show where contestants will play games for a hefty prize of $4.56 million prize, one of the largest in game show history. The competition will feature challenges inspired by the original Snow, as well as surprising new additions, probably because there's going to be a season 2. Encourage players to form alliances and deploy unique strategies in order to win. And Netflix had to bring this up. It's careful to mention that the Squid Game: The Challenge, the worst fate is going home empty-handed. The series will last 10 episodes, though if it gets popular, it's going to become what it was commentating on. Man. And even Squid Game creator is reportedly working on a satire about its overnight success, saying the best show on the planet. Oh, God. So, so I'm pretty sure Mr. Beast is pissed that he just did this. He's misspent God knows how much money to build this up, his own little set, and now they just went in and did it themselves. Oh, if they don't get Mr. Beast as the host, that will be a missed opportunity. Meanwhile, Microsoft agrees to take a neutral approach towards the future Activision Blizzard unions. Why? Okay. So, yeah. Microsoft, that has taken a proactive step, recognizing unions that don't even exist yet via a partnership with the Communication Workers of America. The two groups announced that they have entered a new labor neutrality agreement, which will take effect 60 days after the acquisition of Activision Blizzard closes, which is planned prior to June 30th, 2023. The agreement states that Microsoft will take a neutral approach when employees express interest in unionizing and will permit them to communicate with their colleagues and union representatives about unions in a way that encourages information sharing and avoid business disruptions. The language seems to imply that Microsoft will not try to hinder employees from discussing unions, and in return, employees will avoid action that might slow down work, such as strikes. Furthermore, the agreement will allow employees to access an innovative technology supported and streamlined process for choosing whether to join a union. That includes individual employee privacy. And finally, the agreement lays on the groundwork for the CWA and Microsoft to work together to resolve any issues that occur while under this agreement, including an expedited aberration process if consensus cannot be found. This agreement provides a pathway for Activision Blizzard workers to exercise their democratic rights to organize and collectively bargain after the close of Microsoft's acquisition and establish a higher road framework for employees in the game industry. The agreement addresses CWA's previous concerns regarding the acquisition, and as a result, we support its approval and look forward to working collaboratively with Microsoft after this deal closes. Evaluate! CWA. President Chris Shelton spoke. CWA and Microsoft have also stated they're exploring further collaboration in the future on initiatives related to new technology and skill building programs. So, yeah, they've been more welcoming towards union. Even Phil Spencer explicitly saying he would voluntarily recognize the Raven software union in Activision prior to its formation late last month. Activision Blizzard was, in the lead up to the vote, actively hostile towards Raven's union. We've seen a group of QA workers at BioWare working on Dragon Age successful unionized, and last year Voto became the first official North American games union. So, all hell is broken loose. So it's finally time to take back the power. Take back, you got the power. You got the touch. Meanwhile, Kingdom Hearts graphic power kinda limits the number of Disney worlds that can be included, according to Tetsui Norma. how does the graphics power limit them? Okay. So, according to a new interview, fans of those magical, nostalgic-filled worlds might see fewer of them in Kingdom Hearts due to graphical limitations. Why? He goes on to say that Kingdom Hearts 4 might feel slightly different from the previous Kingdom Hearts styles. We got one look at the upcoming game that shows Sora in a world called Quantum, one that looks close to our own. It is definitely a departure from the more fantasy-based world of the first 3 installments and their various multiple spin-offs. As far as graphic quality, since with each new title, the specs have been really increasing, and there's much more that we could do in terms of graphics. It kind of limits the number of worlds that we can create in a sense, so why not just lower on the graphics obsession and make more worlds? And yeah, earlier this year, Norman teased Quadrum is more of an outdoor and is the real world despite featuring real life locations. And there was even mentions of an ATST from the Star Wars series in a jungle city, featuring we might be heading to Endor. Oh man. If Darth Vader doesn't go ahead and fight, I'm gonna be disappointed. Meanwhile, Redfall, the game that was delayed, Arcane Austin, has a lot of experience with open-ended game design, but when it came to designing Redfall's world, the famed studio behind Prey had a unique problem. Redfall's open world was actually a bit too open. Okay. What do you mean by that? Redfall designer Harvey Smith talked about designing the Massachusetts town in which Arcane's new supernatural shooter is set in, describing it as very open. Redfall is an open on-foot video game, he says, and the team has worked to make sure that the setting's design fits within that dynamic. But at first, Redfall was too open, he says. It was like there was not enough blocking you or channeling you, but it's very open rooftops and alleys, streets in the small town of Redfall, Massachusetts, which is like a fishing community, a tourist community, quite historic New England stuff with a stealthy takeover by vampires. But the one thing we do in terms of gating pretty heavily is that we divide the world into 2 districts. District 1 is the first half of the mission and is downtown part of Redfall, while District 2 is more rural, it's farms, lighthouses, churches, things like that. Arcane has worked to refine the trans design, which with the end result being an open world co-op game in which multiple players work together to take back Redfall's neighboring hoods from the vampires. In doing so, they are free to venture off on their own, but at the cost of potentially making things more difficult for themselves. As they say in Dungeons & Dragons, you should never split the party. It's very much in keeping with Arcane's earlier games, where players are encouraged to explore, experiment, and develop unique solutions to their problems. What would Arcane's DNA look like in an open world? The way we do resources, scavenging for ammo and medical stuff, lockpicks, and the way we approach buildings. There's multiple entries, and the problem to gameplay encounters, there's multiple ways you can approach it. What would we like to do it to work together? Because if you play solo, it's a lot spookier. It's a lot more atmospheric, slow paced. As soon as you add in a person, you're not really afraid anymore because you have a friend there. But there's got to be something like that to make up for it. So the social aspect, the narrative changing in terms of the banter between characters, just the fun of playing with another person. Layla drops the elevator and everybody can get on the roof or get up in a higher advantage or whatever. There's a lot of little synergies like that in there. So they talk about the very dynamic systems driving the narrative design as characters get to know each other over time. That says, Smith says Arcane is de-emphasizing branching missions this time around, meaning Redfall won't have multiple endings in the traditional sense. Okay, after it got delayed to 2023, along with Starfield, so get ready for that. Meanwhile, for those who loved Knights of the Old Republic 2 but hated the fact that how much cut content was cut from the game, because oh my god, I made a podcast all about the cut content because they had that much content to talk about. God. So, after over like two whole decades, I'm not kidding. They are finally going to have the original version's cut content added to the Nintendo Switch, and will be adding to other stuff later this year, in this third quarter. This content was the content that was removed from the original version of KOTOR 2. It includes new missions, dialogue, and other content that's woven throughout the entire game. Given how intrinsic it is to the game, the players will need to start a fresh save in order to experience it. Eurogate inspired a tweet from the developer I can't pronounce it, which confirmed you will need to start a new game with the DLC content enabled to access the additional content. However, after the DLC releases and you still wish to finish your non-DLC playthrough, you can access those save game files by disabling the DLC in the in-game main menu. The extra content, which will be added for free, includes a mission where players play the droid companion HK-47 and explore a mysterious HK manufacturing plant, a new and improved ending that includes more party interactions and extra acknowledgement of the player's past choices, library crew competitions overall, and a variety of other quests and challenges across the galaxy. So, after 20 years, they finally said we're bringing it back. Oh man. Now we don't have to rely on mods anymore on that front. Meanwhile, Kojima has now announced a completely new game that no one has ever experienced or seen before for the Xbox. And he's even said this has been one of the dream projects he's always wanted to do, Hideo Kojima. But he also wanted to rest assured fans that, yes, he's still on very good partnership terms with PlayStation despite the Xbox announcement. Oh, man. So yeah, the Xbox announcement led to an outcry among some fans, or as I call them, tribalists, of Kojima, who felt the legendary developer should move away from his ties to PlayStation. Some even have set up petitions asking to Kojima Productions to not work in the Xbox game. Oh my god. Oh man. Can't. Yeah, my brain hurts. Okay. We're going to take a brief break to the ad while my mind recovers from the ad nauseum I just experienced. We'll be back after these messages and ad breaks. Stay tuned for more, and I'll see y'all next time soon. Very well, and... oh, god damn it. Welcome back after recovering from my massive brain aneurysm from the fact that PlayStation tribalists have lost their mind. We're back to finishing this off. So, anyways, Avatar: The Last Airbender. So, remember how over the last about a year or so, they've been they're Nickelodeon and the creators of Avatar: The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra have operated a new Avatar Studios banner that was set up, the goal of creating original content and movies set in the world of The Last Airbender and The Legend of Korra for release on Paramount Plus, Nickelodeon platforms, and unspecified third-party platforms as well as cinema. It was announced last year that Nickelodeon has started to lay the groundwork for an Avatar Airbender universe that would encompass multiple TV series and movies across a variety of platforms. The leaders of the studio announced that there are still many stories and tales, time periods in Aang's world to be covered on screen. While nothing has materialized just yet from those ventures, including that Netflix live-action adaptation of the series, which probably didn't need to be made, but okay, it has been announced that there will be 3 animated movies now in development. Paramount Animation and Nickelodeon Animation announced that these new projects are during the special presentation during the International Animation Film Festival, where they also revealed that one of the previously directors of the acclaimed series will direct the first of the 3 planned Avatar movies. Several Avatar veterans returning to assist Lauren with the first title of the series, and the creators of Avatar are reteaming as producers on this project alongside Eric Coleman, who served as the executive producer of and production manager of the Last Airbender series. Stating in a press release, as original creators, Mike and Brian expanded the Avatar universe with us. We're keeping it all in the family, with Lauren bringing in some kind of expert, beautiful work she did on the original series to her new directing duties on the forthcoming theatrical. Paramount and Nickelodeon's Executive Vice President of Animation, and Laftia Orea, I'm pretty sure I butchered that, will be overseeing Untitled animated Avatar film, the Untitled film, from its development through production, alongside Paramount Animation and Nickelodeon Animation Vice President of Animation Jason McConnell. McConnell? No, I can't live like this again. Anyways, all 3 films are being developed under the Avatar Studios banner, which was launched last year with the goal of creating content, like I mentioned. So they keep saying it's going to be the last, I'm curious to know, is this the 3 movies taking place with Aang's story, or will this eventually involve, or will this be Korra's story, or will it be a whole new character? Like, they keep mentioning Aang a lot, and Korra has been mostly relegated to comic books, so no explanation on that front. And I know this is theoretically impossible unless you do bring in time travel, but would it be interesting to see Korra and Aang eventually meet via the time travel shenanigans that could happen? I don't know how they could do that. They haven't established time travel in the series, in both series, so who knows? And you could probably make it work because Korra no longer has connection to the past lives due to the events and shenanigans of season 2. And now there's this whole balance equation thing you could bring in. And, I don't know. I'm just throwing ideas out there. We'll see. Meanwhile, the director of Thor Ragnarok has talked about his new Star Wars films, which will focus on completely new cast of characters as it aims to expand the universe. Speaking to Total Film, he explained that his goal is to make a film that relies on references to pre-existing lore and canon, as doing so really doesn't let Star Wars grow. Gee, I could have told you that. Say, I think for the Star Wars universe to expand, it has to expand. I don't think that I'm used to in the Star Wars universe making a film where everyone's like, oh great, well that's the blueprints for the Millennium Falcon. That's Chewbacca's grandmother. That all stands alone, that's great, though I would like to take something new and create some new characters just to expand the world. Otherwise it feels like a very small story. Does anyone that talks about how much they want to expand Star Wars just not know about the past continuity? Like, this is one of the things that annoyed me to no end about Star Wars' lore. It's like, okay, how do I say this right? This is the part where it's going to get weird. For some reason, every character in the Star Wars universe, from the tiniest background detail to the most unimportant elements added, they would all have a massive, complicated backstory or storyline afterwards. Like, okay, remember in episode 1 you saw in the background that I didn't even know was there until literally several years after I saw the Phantom Menace the first time when I was a young lad? There was this character with the yellow color around his face, across his face, and I was like, oh, that's a cool design, but let's move on. Let's focus on these guys. So we made no attention to that. In fact, I didn't even know about that character till about years later when I found out that he was in episode 1, but we never knew that. Well, that was the Jedi Master Quinlan Voss, and it was revealed in a massive retcon that he was investigating and doing some mission of his own, which leads to multiple questions that I have. How does he not interact, and how does Qui-Gon not sense him? Or Obi-Wan? Or anyone, really, that has a Jedi, or even has the potential of the Force. And yet, he's right there. Like, you mean to tell me Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon couldn't recognize that? Like, I know they were saying he was probably undercover and doing something, but like, yeah, and they had to establish that reasoning. It's like, that's the most famous moment I can think of where they have this total background character, and they say he is like one of the most important characters in the Clone Wars era. Heck, there's even that bounty hunter, Aurora Singh. Yeah, she was just a background character looking like who was at the pod racing event, just watching everything. Yeah, no, let's make a super massive, complicated backstory for her and reveal that she actually was a Jedi once upon a time, then fell to the dark side, sort of, and then left the Order. She was apprenticed to the Dark Woman, as she was called, and became the Scourge of the Jedi. So, yeah. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Every character seemed to have a massive backstory to them. Like, even that, okay, remember that creature that got his arm chopped off by Obi-Wan in episode 4 A New Hope. Yeah, massive backstory and storyline for him in the expanded universe. Like, that was one of my biggest annoyances. Like, okay, look, I get you want to make this story as fleshed out as possible, and this universe is great, but why does every single character have a massive backstory? They can't just be an average citizen that's just there and exists. I don't know. I think a lot of these people forget that happened. Oh man. Oh man. It just annoys me how everyone seems to now forget that even back then they made the universe way so big that they even included intergalactic creatures like the Yuzhan Vong. And they were sort of hinting at something in the new canon, and then the Rise of Skywalker happened that completely destroyed everything. And now they have like all this stuff that was clearly building up for Snoke to be an outside galaxy presence, and they gave hints and suggestions that he was around before Palpatine even, quote, created him, so what the hell? But okay, let's move on from my tangent on this Star Wars nonsense. Overwatch 2 ditches loot boxes. Yay! But includes battle passes and a store. Boo! Oh, good. So, yeah. They announced that the free-to-play changes to doing away with loot boxes entirely. We have a new battle pass model coming in, and we have it in store as well, so players can have a lot more control of how they interact with the game and acquire new content. Okay, we're getting Fortnite treatment again. Like, I've played some Fortnite. I did a lot better than I initially thought I would do, but okay. So, yeah. Meanwhile, Game of Thrones, Jon Snow is set to return as a sequel spin-off series focusing on him, in early development according to Hollywood Reporter. The character is set to be reprised by his actor, Kit Harington, and is reportedly already attached to return to the role. The project proceeds. Set after the Game of Thrones' divisive 8th and final season would be an interesting move, reopening the door of the much-discussed final events of the series. In the series finale, Snow was exiled from the Westeros to the Night's Watch, where he was last seen hanging north of the Wall with the Wildlings. Okay. This potential Jon Snow series is far from the only Game of Thrones spin-off in the pipe, but in fact it would be the 7th Game of Thrones project, not counting the prequel series House of the Dragon, which is in the post-production due to launch on August 21st. Game of Thrones author George R. R. Martin recently updated fans on a number of planned live-action and anime shows set in the GTOT universe, cautioning that not every series was likely to get on air, but expressing his hopes that many would. So it would be interesting to see how Jon Snow is being done after all this was said and done. It's going to be very interesting to see how they handle this. I'm curious to know. Like, Jon Snow is great. I liked his character a lot when I was watching Game of Thrones, but it's now interesting where they take him now, considering they left a whole bunch of things open-ended on him, like his bloodline, heritage, and everything. So in the more frustrating madness of this world, Activision Blizzard, after conducting a thorough investigation with its own internal force, has announced the board of directors have claimed it has found no evidence. There are 100 different reasons why I could say something right now, but I'm just going to say this. The board protected Bobby Kotick, even though it's been revealed what he's done. There's even voicemail, documentation, witnesses, and you don't think there would be clear biases going on? Yeah, I don't. Yeah. God fucking damn it. Anyways, as I try my best not to rush out of here and scream, I will say some other stuff to move on to some more celebration positive news. DC has announced that they will release a poster portfolio collection of George Perez's artwork, who tragically passed away in May at the age of 67. Featuring artwork, including artwork from the Teen Titans era, Wonder Woman, Crisis on Infinite Earth, Infinite Crisis, and more. Per the solicited text, this poster collection features a fraction of the works by this beloved illustrator whose artists touched the hearts of comic fans around the world for generations. My God, he will be missed. Meanwhile, Midnight Suns, that new upcoming video game. The Marvel's already working on a new comic called The Midnight Suns. Yeah, they're making a Midnight Suns game because they're making a new comic because we have to make money off of our comic books. So, yeah. Oh, God damn it. So, yeah. I saw this coming a mile away. Meanwhile, Tim Drake. You remember Tim Drake, right? The character who is now part of the LGBTQ community for a character that hasn't been around in over a decade up until this point last year? Yeah, I didn't know that as well either. I didn't even know who that character was, Bernard. Yeah, but, the word around the street is that following the events of Batman Urban Legends and DC Pride Tim Drake Special Number 1, DC announced that Tim Drake will get his own ongoing series in the fall with Tim Drake Robin. You could have called him Red Robin. Yum! And all that. And it will be illustrated by Harley Quinn's artist Riley Rossmo, which means I'm probably not going to get it because, okay, I'll do respect to Riley Rossmo. I don't like the artwork. I feel like it fits more for horror aesthetics. But yeah, it will be written by Megan Fitzman Martin or whatever. I can't pronounce that right, I'm pretty sure. They will introduce a new villain who's been watching the character from afar, but now intends to get up close and personal. Unfortunately, Tim isn't the only one in danger with the new threat. His new boyfriend, Bernard, and everyone he cares about will be affected as well. Meanwhile, Tim has carved his own corner of Gotham City himself, shopping what the public describes as a murder shack boat. Sounds weird. To celebrate the launch of the series, Tim Drake number 1, Robin number 1 will feature 4 variant covers showcasing his iconic looks throughout the years, including a 1 year later variant by George Jimenez, a 125 debut era by Sweeney Boo, a 150 Young Justice era by Dan Mora, and a 1/100 ratio Teen Titans era Jamal Campbell. So, get ready for that. I would probably get the George Jimenez one. That's awesome. Also, there's set to be a Harley Quinn variant cover because Harley Quinn is turning 30! Yay! 30 years of Harley! So yeah, after 30 years since her big landmark debut of the 22nd episode of the landmark Batman animated series on September 11, 1992, not at all dark when you think about that day, DC will announce that we'll celebrate her 30th anniversary in September with the Harley Quinn 30th Anniversary Special, a prestige format 96-page one-shot anthology that will go on sale September 30th, just 2 days shy of the actual special day, because of reasons that people forgot. For various dark reasons. Yeah. So anyways, also, we get to see Sedgwick again. Stephen Sedgwick. Yay! And features a whole ton of artwork and credits from past writers and artists such as Amanda Connor. There will also be variant covers. So, I'm excited for that. There will even be a Edgerunner variant, which means I will guarantee myself to get that, damn it. So... yeah, congratulations, Harley Quinn. You made it 30 years. Now we need to talk about something somewhat serious. Final Fantasy VII has gotten massive updates. As we reach the 25th anniversary of the Final Fantasy VII saga, they have announced a series of stuff. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII is coming back with a reunion game. So, yeah, Crisis Core is announced for this winter for Final Fantasy VII, a reunion game. So, featuring Zack and all his glory, and even a shot-for-shot remake scene of it. But it also it may feature up its drastically changed outcome and how everything got altered in this new timeline. Hijinks ensue. You have to play the game just to figure out what the hell happened out, and even then you're probably confused because it's Tetsuya Norma. And there was even announced that Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 comes out next winter, called announced Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, featuring teasing of the Final Fantasy characters and also featuring Sephiroth. And also featuring clearly hinting more that Aerith and Sephiroth are in fact from another time, from the original timeline, went back in time to change history, and now all hijinks ensuing. Yeah, that's my theory, that Final Fantasy still exists in the characters' minds. It's just that Aerith and Sephiroth have went back in time and hijinks are ensuing. Yeah. Oh, god damn it. So, Final Fantasy VII Remake is now a 3-part trilogy. Yeah, it's shocking, I know. Rebirth would be the second, in which is now planned to be the 3-part trilogy of Square Enix. And the trailer that came out for the next one that features the narrative changes probably happening and features more questions and answers, along with Sephiroth, Cloud, and Zack's a surprising survival. And Tetsuya Norma has announced that work has already started on Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3. If I had to take a guess, there was Final Fantasy VII Remake, there was Rebirth. What's the last one? Revelation? Like, they already have Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion, so is it going to be Revelation? I'm like, that would make sense. So, yeah, get ready for that insanity. I'm going to be curious to see how Tetsuya Nomu alters the timeline even more with wacky hijinks and Kingdom Hearts-esque style craziness. Oh, man. So, this was Neo Reality Collective. Feel free to check out my other content. This episode, once again, sponsored by EDF Sports, by the everydayfans.com site. Feel free to check out their content in the description below. I'll be seeing y'all next time for the next episode. Oh, peace out, take care, and I have some other stuff planned, such as Kenobi, and all that hijinks. So, good luck, everyone. Take care. See you all again. Stay tuned for this last ad break and outro, and we'll see you all again next time. Take care.
Be sure to donate to the brand and keep up to date with additional content on YouTube channels such as Neo Reality Entertainment, NRE The Wrestleverse, and NRE Pop Culture Omniversa.